Right now on Full Custom Garage, Ian continues the transformation of the T-Bird bubble top, and his client pushes him even further.
It's already been built 2 times. What's one more time? I want it to be like a spaceship.
Some people would think of this abstract idea as like, what? And I'm like, yes. I spent a couple seconds inside that dome and it's hot. So we're having vents in the front that'll vent the cabin, and then vents in the back that'll exhaust it.
But the mission doesn't stop there.
My whole task here is creative metalwork and mad scientist inspiration. He's got a pro interior dude. I meet the guy and it turns out he's deaf. And Victor's like moving around, flailing his hands, this and that.
You know what? I move my hands and I'm a hand talker, if you could see, and we could communicate perfectly.
He's talking about making it look like this is like the main power source for the entire car. It's crystal-powered spaceship.
I'm a subtle guy, if you could tell by my car.
With the finish line in sight, Ian and Victor take the bubble top out of this world.
We're on the final run of the whole game right here. And Victor comes up with another idea.
But now I said, Ian, we need a new element.
He wants to take it one step further, so we're gonna try something unique once more with the roof. I don't know exactly how we're gonna get there, but this car is gonna be amazing. This thing all started when Victor and I went to a car show. Victor is nonstop about wanting this bubble top. He's chewing my ear off about it. And I'm thinking the quickest way to get there is to use one of our old projects. We decided to use this 62 T-Bird that I built from a while back. I figured if I made a bubble top for it, we could put it on and we'd be done. So I built a huge oven structure to heat up the plastic, and we took it to Victor's.
And he said, well, we need some igniters or elements. I said, I got some perfect elements. Let me just finish cooking my steaks.
Victor and I share a lot of the same characteristics. He's always pushing me for more.
And I said, Ian, crank it up. Let's take it to the limit.
Yes, Captain, taking it to the limit. We pushed it too far, so I went to talk to a master, Gene Winfield.
Every day is a school day. Ian's a real good craftsman. I think he's going to go back and rework that bubble, and it'll come out fine for that T-Bird.
Seeing Gene was really inspiring. It got me fired up, and I came back and blew a successful bubble. This thing's on the car for 15 minutes. Everybody's praising it, you know, wow, yeah, that was a great experience. Victor wants to go bigger. He wants something better than this.
When I seen it come out, I said we achieved our goal. And if we were normal people, we would say, all right, let's get the hell out of here. We're done, but we're not.
The crazy thing about working with Victor is he's always pushing me. We're sitting there checking the car out, thinking about ideas, and he comes up with this spinning bubble top.
I said, okay, Ian, this one's gonna spin, go up and down and spin.
This is such a crazy idea. I just needed to build it quickly and cheaply to see if it would really work. Literally, this car lifts up, spins around. It's awesome. You've never seen that before. I took it down to Victor's to show it to him. I pull in with the trailer and I see Victor. He's not really jumping for joy, let's say that. But just seeing this wild concept got his brain going in a whole new direction. Accomplishing this bubble top, I think I might have like blew a fuse or something in Victor's psyche, because now he's really going off the deep end. He's talking about some wild concepts, and we're only at the beginning of this next stage. The whole thing is detail. I have to remove this foam in the most precise manner possible. This whole car is conceptual. The ring that holds the bubble was looking good. Victor wanted it lower. All right, so Victor changed his mind a little bit, or Victor changed my mind. It's not gonna spin anymore. It's just gonna be a simple up-down motion. It's way safer. Primary issue is safety. This thing is coming around to the car show and does as it's been doing. It's gonna take somebody's head off. This whole thing I was setting up with the body being raised up and contoured to the ring, he wanted it to be lower. We're gonna cut this whole area out and then lower the ring to the same height as the door. Refitting this metal ring, it's a flat base that the bubble sits on, and the car is a curved surface. So I created this series of steps that allow the ring to fall down into the car and still look like a finished part. Once all these pieces get finished up with the door jambs, and then this whole thing is blended together with fiberglass, it's gonna look really neat. We really refined the way the whole bubble opens. I was trying some crazy stuff with the weight of the car lifting the thing, and it just wasn't safe. We just went to a simple hydraulic ram. It's tried and true, works perfect. He's already got the pump here that used to lift the rear of the car. So we're gonna tap in with another switch. You can see it's big enough for a tractor or a snowplow. It matches the ram that used to actuate the back lid, and they'll both run off the same motor. I spent a couple seconds inside that dome, and it's hot. This thing's a spaceship. There's people inside. There needs to be a way for air to get in and out. I made these vents in the front of the car. Victor loved them. He came up with this concept. He wants some more vents towards the rear. So my challenge is to match them, complement the front with the back. I think I like this idea. The car is so flat that by putting these vents in, it's pretty cool. It kind of lends itself to the louvering thing in the 50s, but this is like new, old space age stuff. All these vents work. It looks cool, but it's gonna keep you alive in there. Otherwise, you're gonna cook. Once the ring that fit the bubble was established in the car, it looked great, and it worked so good, we decided to seal the doors up. That's the main point of getting in and out of the car, is through the lid. So the bubble top's gonna be the only way you can get into the car. That'll hinge up, and you'll get into it like you would a flying saucer. Should be cool. Well, there's no gravity in space, so you can just float over the edge and land in the car. So that's the whole thing. There's a lot of metal fab that's gone into this car. It's really been a huge process, but that's only the tip of the iceberg. The plastic part is the real challenge here. Today's whole mission is to get this dashboard in gear. I just finished some really basic structure to just hold this gauge cluster. It's from an early Plymouth. I think it's a 300. This has been used in a couple other really popular show cars. And the reason we're using it is because it's freaking cool.
Since we added the bubble on it, I said, hey, we can't just have a regular car interior.
You want to follow that theme and bring it inside the car. So I want to have some kind of clear plastic elements on the interior. The big challenge with the plastic is creating three-dimensional shapes. I'm using fiberglass for the dashboard. It's going to incorporate an acrylic dome, just like the roof, and who knows what else. The first tests I did of creating this bubble out of acrylic just incorporated a simple metal box with a burner and air inflation. The smaller size is a lot easier to work with, so I figured I'd come up with a really cool twist on what I've already accomplished and showcase it right in the middle of the dashboard. Every bubble I've seen has been blown off of a flat base. I thought, why can't you just do it off a curved base? I'll unscrew it. The main difference being I created a metal backboard with this S-curve, because when it's sitting in the car, this is going to be the center console. So the center console wraps up, and then you have your gauge pod here, and it goes into the dashboard. So this is just a piece of sheet metal, a couple pieces of 55-gallon drum, an old brake line. I pretty much nailed this whole heat and inflate of the acrylic domes. The big challenge here was fitting it up in the curved base plate prior to anything. Usually I would make a wood retaining ring like with the other setups, but the wood wouldn't bend to this drastic curve. So I heated up a piece of acrylic and just let it sag down, and that became the retaining ring. So what the paper does, you can see the holes I punched here. The air comes in, you see the hot air blast, and it just diffuses and gently fills the thing up with air. So it's a gasket, pretty slick. These two got overheated, but it's still the center that I'm looking for. So I'm gonna cut this center out and I'll put it in the car and you'll get a look at it. By building this cool metal backboard, it puts an S-curve in the base of the bubble, and it makes a perfect transition from the horizontal dashboard down into the center console. So this is like your center console here, and then to get to the switches and stuff on the gauge, this will lift just like the roof on some kind of a air ram, and then you can turn on your lights and all the other stuff. So it's just like dimensional plastic shapes. You know, you got 1, 2, and then 3. It's gonna be like a real fishbowl in here. This whole thing is really my greatest achievement. It's something I've thought on for years, and here it is. This is a perfect curved base bubble that is gonna be the centerpiece for the whole car. The whole concept of the interior, especially the look of the dashboard, is just like alien technology. It's got to look kind of spacey, kind of organic, and I think fiberglass is the only way we're going to get that really curved compound surface. The whole dashboard is fabricated at a solid round stock. It's really easy to form. I can make mirror images of the left and right side simultaneously. So it's just a quick bend, cut, and weld. Setting this whole frame up is typical fabrication. It was a no-brainer for me. The big challenge is in getting this fiberglass to hang there. Fiberglass resin is just a liquid, and the material is super flexible, so it needs some kind of a spine to hang on until it turns solid. The whole thing with this process is if you haven't done it before, you don't know what to expect. A friend of mine, Scott Owens, he showed me this cool trick with aluminum foil and fiberglass. So I'm gonna see if I can't pull something off. The whole idea with laying this subsurface for the fiberglass is using the foil and trying to stretch it across the steel ribs that I made. That way you have this really organic shape, and it just gives the fiberglass a perfect backboard to hang on until it sets up. I have very limited fiberglass experience. I was able to lay up a ring on the bubble for the roof, and so far so good. We created a ring that lifts off that will hide all the screws. That way the bodywork comes right in and it looks like a headlight bezel. It's a nice, clean, simple ring. So you can see here, you got your steel frame. You'll have your fasteners with rubber rings to hold it down. And then this nice, clean ring will snap on top and it'll be perfectly smooth. Fiberglass with a Bondo cap. I got the foil in place. It was pretty simple to set up. The next step is to trim out the fiberglass and mix the resin. So, we'll lay a little of that in there. This next part's like making a lasagna. You just throw your noodles in there. Toxic lasagna. The whole process with the fiberglass is to mix up the resin properly, cut your mat to size, and you basically just soak it screed off the excess liquid and then put it in place. The idea with using the fiberglass on the inside is that it will give us a really organic, multi-dimensional finish that we can paint. That way the outside of the car wraps over the top and comes right in. I really like the idea of doing more fiberglass work. Way faster than metal, and it's lightweight. The whole thing with fiberglass is it's fast. It's a little stinky, but if you were to create these compound curves in steel or aluminum, you'd be at it a lot longer than the 20 minutes I've invested so far. The whole thing with fiberglass and the rate at which you work really is determined by how much catalyst you use and the temperature. It kicks off from a chemical reaction, and the hotter it is, the faster it goes. So it's a little chilly today, but with my laser, I will activate the catalyst and be on to the next step. Fiberglass finally kicked off. It's nice and solid, so the next step is to pull the whole piece and then take out the excess tape, aluminum foil, whatever you don't want. Aha! Pretty sneaky, sis. I pulled it off the dashboard, and it looks like it's a piece that will fit on and off as many times as you need. Let it cure up like that. Then once it's fully hardened, I can sand back the edges, glue her in place. The last step in this preparation is to just bulk it up a little bit with some Bondo. Fiberglass is good and strong, but there's some surface imperfections that I don't really want to sand out because that would make it a little weaker. So I'm going to build up the surface with some Bondo while the resin's still fresh. That way the initial block sanding of the whole piece will really cut back the Bondo instead of the structure of the fiberglass. And the cool factor is the Bondo and the fiberglass are friends. They just bond to each other like the same chemical compound. The whole thing with the original concept of the dashboard was more of a waterfall effect, a typical Art Deco element. I came up with this thing with a center rib, and it's still that flavor, and the sky's the limit at this point. This is where the sculpturing starts. It remains to be seen what Victor thinks of this design. He explained something that was exactly the opposite of what I've accomplished. So we'll see what he says. I have two concaved panels meeting at a rib. He wanted two convex panels, more like a waterfall. Create two puffed shapes, almost like a tuck and roll upholstery job. It could still be done because now we have a structure to work off of. But this might be good enough for him. I really like this look. Just as the dashboard's getting solidified, Victor came in and loved it. Fortunately, I did the right thing. The whole idea with the way Victor and I work is just creative collaboration. You know, it's just conceptualizing, and then it's my gig. I make it happen. One of the big challenges in this car design is skirting the front tires. We had to bulge the side panels so the thing would steer. Victor's been kicking around a couple ideas on how to make this work, and I think I got a good concept. The whole idea with these skirts would follow the line of the vents in the front. It'll have the same screen detail on the inside, so the body will come to the vent. You know, we'll just flush out this and blend it right back through the old door jamb. So we're hoping that this will give a little reason for this whole radius on the front fender. Laid out these square tubes that are going to be the base of the floor. I think we're just going to make the seats ourselves. Victor didn't like the seat that was in the car, so I just set up a framework here. It'll be the base of the floor that's gonna roll down into the footwell. It's a spaceship, you know? No rules. These are the seats that were in the car. They look cool, but you've seen them before, right? So Victor wanted to do something next level with it. This seat was pretty bulky and it was hitting the perimeter of the bubble, so we would have had to modify the seat back anyway. We talked about it and I came up with a design, still developing. The seat bases are gonna be in the car, and then this will be the seat back. So it's a lot smaller. It's just like a little lumbar support. And we're thinking about having them pivot and disappear into the floor of the car. I set up some round rods, just bent it to shape, welded a couple nuts on there for a hinge. I'm gonna cut some holes in here because Victor was saying he wanted some LED lights in the seat back. And you know, it's just developing. We'll see if it actually flies or not. These are on hinges, that way they'll be adjustable. You can hinge them up or down if you need to access the flux capacitor in the back or whatever. This is some 18 gauge sheet. I just put it in the brake. It's got a little curve to it, a little area for your butt to sit. And these are gonna go right in here. The idea being there'll be a 4 or 5 inch foam pad. Make it nice and cozy. My whole task with the interior on this car is really just framing it out. I tried one interior in the past and I really have a lot to improve on, so I'm gonna let the professional handle it. The one thing anybody who is gonna critique a bubble top, the first thing the negative people say is, it's gonna be really hot in there. Victor's answer to that is a vintage stainless steel fan. My main plan is to create 2 clear globes in the front and rear of the car, and then have a clear plastic air duct connecting the 2. So everything's following suit with the shape of the main roof bubble. So this is the back wall that will have the air coming from the upper vent down through here. So I'm just gonna shroud this in. That way the fan will draw. You know, this will all be walled off. It'll have no choice but to draw through that vent up there. I've primarily built cars for Victor, and I think he's just getting super creative on this. He's not concerned with driving this to the car show. He's doing something to make a complete spectacle. That's the bottom line here. Looks like Victor's caught the bug. I said it before that my kind of crazy is pretty contagious. He was putting the reins on this thing earlier, and now he's out of control. So that's the concept. The air comes through the back vent, through the fan, into that tube, and then it ventilates the cabin. Feel that breeze, Tony? It's good, nice, right? The big cool factor with having Victor's guys to back me up on the body shop aspect really allows me to try to pull off one last trick. We've made a bunch of successful roofs for this car. We're on the final run of the whole game right here. And Victor comes up with another idea.
The third one came out perfect. It flowed perfectly. But now I said, Ian, we need a new element.
He wants to take it one step further, so we're gonna try something unique once more with the roof. I'm gonna light a fire, man.
Yeah, and actually, I know it's gonna work.
You've seen a clear plastic bubble a million times. He wants something more. He wants like a pattern embossed in the rear of the roof. And it's like a whole new direction. As a last-ditch effort to stop this frame from flexing, I just put in a bunch of wooden shims because the box starts to blow out of shape. There's so much force from this. We got like 180 bolts clamping it together. But the box just needs to get up to 300, 320, and it's good to go. But getting 300 degrees over 32 square feet, that's the real challenge. For this last try, I think we're gonna need more heat. A little more propane, a little more fire. It remains to be seen what's gonna go on once we get up to the proper temperature. The only access I have to the material is through these little portholes. This structure that's inside the oven doesn't allow me to see in there. I really only have my past experience to guide me through this. We're not gonna know if it's a pass or fail until it's done and on the car. I think we're there. All we can do is turn up the air pressure. Ready? I'm gonna do it slow. The good thing is this is working just like all the rest. The heat's even, the thing's inflating, it's looking good. Oh, the front, look at this. Amazing. We're there. I can't push it anymore. I'm gonna raise it up. It's the moment of truth. Oh, we got it, man. Look at that.
Yeah, see, that's what I was looking for.
We get this thing nailed. It looks perfect. I think we're good. I think we got it.
And it's just enough rib. On all of them have ribs. That's what we added on here.
Raise it up out of the oven, and there's like a defect. I put all these reinforcing screws in there, and one of them has pushed the base out of position after it's inflated.
There was one screw that was still poking through, hitting the second bar, which didn't allow it to sit. The bubble came out perfect, but the screw was hitting, so the front of it wasn't straight.
When we put it on the car, it's not gonna fit. It's like an old record on a record player when they get a lump in them. That's what we have in our base. It's not gonna work. Plastic's still warm though. It's very soft. We're gonna throw a clamp on it and reheat it. This is highly unorthodox. So there's always something. This is our last ditch effort. The bubble came out pretty good, but see the base plate gave out right here. It's kind of warped. I got the ovens on high on this side. We're gonna put a piece of steel, clamp it, and lower it back in, and try to get some of that shape to even out. We're gonna try this one little remedy and then take the thing out, see how it looks with that buck off of it.
That was a perfect bubble too. Up more. All right, right there, we're on it. How's she looking?
I think you got it, man. I think you healed it. All that matters with this project is the end result. I mean, once you pull the bubble out of the oven and see this apparatus attached to it, you know it's pretty intense. Everything looks great. It's back into shape. The whole idea is to just cool it off, raise it up out of the box, and unclamp this beast. I took this 1/2-inch MDF board and created a series of templates off of the bubble Victor liked most. I spaced them out 8 inches apart, made a whole bunch of support to withstand the pressure of this bubble pushing against it, and fastened it to the backboard. Good. Getting the buck off of this thing really revealed that it was a successful idea. This was uncharted territory, and the result was ideal. That's pretty crazy. But the real tell is going to be how it fits on the car. That's what this is all about. So we cut it out, brought it over to the car, and then, yeah, that was what we were looking for. It's freaking awesome. Look at it from this angle, man. This is freaking ridiculous. That with the lights coming through, bend down and look through.
Yeah, and then look what it shows, the other bubbles in there. Bubbles in the bubbles. That's impressive.
The whole idea with these ribs in the roof was that it was going to diffuse light. It was going to look like multiple layers of plastic, and we nailed it. When you look through, you see all these ridges, there's a million reflections, there's the interior bubbles, it's just out of this world. Victor's in love with this thing. I think he was just like gambling, you know, with this last-ditch effort to pull something off, and he won.
I've never seen anybody do that before.
The creative process on getting this bubble top done is there, but this is the whole car. Victor wants to set up the interior on this car to be just out of control, something no one's ever seen before. It's basically a blank canvas and anything goes. My whole task here is creative metalwork and mad scientist inspiration. He's got pro body guy on the job, he's got a pro interior dude, and he's got a mechanic. I finish my work on Victor's vehicles, and I don't see him for months. I come back and like there's these amazing paint jobs, incredible interiors, and I've actually never met the people he works with until now. Victor's interior guy is here. I don't know where he learned his craft, but he is like top notch.
This is my upholstery guy, Lino, which is fanatical about inches, and this car was hand built, and nothing is precise, it's close. And we're trying to just figure out the details on filling in gaps where we didn't anticipate, you know, area that need to be filled in or something added to it. You give him an idea, and if it's not right or flows, he'll make it flow and tie into the concept of what we're trying to achieve. He won't do it unless we could do it right.
I meet the guy, and it turns out he's deaf. And Victor's like moving around, flailing his hands, this and that. And it's really how they hash out these ideas. It's pretty crazy. There's like no verbal communication. And the results are outstanding.
Right here is gonna go rubber. I gotta. Yeah, no. We got. He's saying here, he told the guy to put steel in here and to clean up this edge. But I told him I got a rubber grommet gonna cover all this stuff, and he says no. I understand what he's telling me. Same with he looks at me, and you know what? I move my hands, and I'm a hand talker, if you could see, and we could communicate perfectly. He understands what our goal is to make an awesome vehicle that we could share with everybody. The diamond. Oh, he wants to put diamonds in there. Let's see.
I think he's caught the crazy too, man. Now he's getting out of control.
Yeah.
He was Mr. Conservative at first.
No, he's like.
Now he's fallen under the spell.
This here, I had to take my old lady's jewelry apart, but she won't figure that out in a while.
The whole concept with the center console is to move air through the cabin. And Victor comes up with these crazy ideas. He's got all these clear crystals. He's got LED lights. He's talking about making it look like this is like the main power source for the entire car. It's crystal-powered spaceship.
There's 100 different variations. But you see how this is in the day, people. Here, let me adjust that. Here we go. You see, there's another one. Or maybe you want that, or maybe you want this. Or maybe we'll do that. That's pretty cool there, yeah.
I mean, it's getting like out of control.
And we'll do it subtle. I'm a subtle guy, if you could tell by my car. Every time I look at it, I envision things. And my vision comes from just looking and expressing, this is the way I feel. You know what, I may be an old man on the outside, but inside I have a vision and I'm cool. And this is the way I release my inner vision of what I think of cars.
I've seen what this guy's done on the other interiors, and they've all been fairly conservative. His workmanship is out of this world. There's no limits on this interior, so I can't wait to see what he comes up with.
We're gonna finish up the interior, then we're just gonna get the car wrapped, and just the final detail of just wiring it up, and we're done. We're so close.
I let Victor take the reins in the last step of this project. I came in today, and the thing is freaking unbelievable. This car has been in the works for a long time. It is a concept car. It's gone through so many phases of development, and now to have it finally wrapped, I'm stoked.
The car came out amazingly, beyond my expectation. On the bubble top, the interior, this is a total custom build.
The bubble top is next level.
The car is, like I said, a piece of art. I mean, the car is a masterpiece.
I saw Victor pull in the driveway with this thing. I was like, get out of the way, mister. I want this car.
Well, Ian, when he came in and seen it, all of the ideas all came together, and he was impressed.
The thing drives up, and it looks like a spaceship. I wish it didn't have tires. You open the bubble top, and the interior is just going off. There's all kinds of crazy stuff going on in there.
I'm ecstatic. He's ecstatic with it. Everything flows just perfect. At the end, I got my interior guy, Lino, and he was saying, you know what, enhance the bubble by putting chrome around the bubble and putting chrome on all the ribs.
They're perfect. They really highlight the ridges in the bubble. Victor wanted some kind of a crazy alien-inspired paint job.
I seen a car going down the street with a wrap on it. And of course, me, I got the most crazy, elaborate wrap. It almost looked like a reptile.
He had these guys come in and wrap it, and it looked reptilian.
On paper, it looked brown. As we put it on, it was orange. And actually, I had a couple nights of lost sleep because I really hated it. I called Ian, I said, Ian, come look at that, man. I'm really not happy with it.
And I knew we had to do something. This car was going downhill.
And he said, look, I painted over it. I said, paint it over it. And we painted over this wrap, and it came out freaking amazing.
Fortunately, we were able to pull it back, toned it down with a brown candy, and it's on. It looks like some kind of a fantasy lace pattern beneath the clear coat. This clear coat with the candy in it saved the project. That, to me, is the spice of life. I don't want things to go smoothly. I want to hit walls. I want to run through dead ends and recover from it. This is a perfect example.
Ian is so resourceful. Maybe 90% of everything that's on this car that you see in the interior and exterior, besides the actual car, was stuff we made work. From the hydraulic system, from the parts, from the back bumper to the instrument panel. And if he doesn't have the part, he'll come up with something else. He'll walk around the junkyard and find something and put it in there, and it works better and at zero cost.
Since I'm 15 years old, it's been car after car after car. That's just what I do. I can't stop. All of the projects I've done so far have really just expanded my skill level, my creativity, and just the idea of what's possible. So whatever's coming up next is gonna be big.